The New York Times is now suing the Pentagon, or with them accusing the Pentagon of violating the constitutional rights of journalists by implementing restrictions on those covering the country's military. Because a few months ago, you had Hegseth demanding that reporters sign a 21-page document agreeing to various new rules or else lose their press credentials and access. And you then saw most major news organizations, including Fox News and Newsmax, condemning the policy as infringing on the freedom of the press, surrendering their badges, and walking out of the building rather than sign. Right, and then they were replaced by the best of the best. And by that, I mean pro-Trump influencers that are more than happy to kiss the ring. And so that included the likes of Laura Loomer, Tim Pool, and fucking Mike Lindell, the pillow guy. He's got his own news thing, apparently. Which I don't even know if it would be appropriate to be like news thing, unless it's maybe also spelled in wingdings. And with that, only now that she has a friendly press audience as Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson held what was reportedly her first on-camera press briefing. Right, and that happened just a couple of days ago. And just to give you an air of what the hell this is looking like, among those who were asking her questions was Matt Gaetz, or the former Republican congressman who faced all sorts of allegations and is now credentialed to cover the Pentagon for One America News. But with all that, going back to the lawsuit, you have the New York Times saying that the First and Fifth Amendments were violated. With one key argument being that under the new policy, reporting any information not approved by department officials could lead to punishment, regardless of whether such news gathering occurs on or off Pentagon grounds, and regardless of whether the information at issue is classified or unclassified. And then getting even more specific, the suit points to one provision of the policy that enabled the Pentagon to deem a journalist a so-called security or safety risk. And this, quote, based solely on a journalist or news organization's receipt, publication, or solicitation of any so-called unauthorized information, regardless of secrecy classification. And then with that, it also argues that lawful, routine news gathering techniques like asking questions of government employees and interviewing them for stories could be considered solicitation under the new policy, basically making their work impossible. Right? And with that, you've had no shortage of press organizations showing support. And then, as far as the Trump administration, at least as I'm recording this, they've been largely quiet, though you did have a Pentagon spokesperson saying, "We are aware of the New York Times lawsuit and look forward to addressing these arguments in court." And yeah, as do I. And so yeah, it's gonna be important to have eyes there, but also I guess on this so-called Pentagon propaganda corps that's there now.